Gather round, let's talk weather. Hi there, Carson Meredith with you from the Wave Now Studios. It is 7:16. It's Sunday night, September 28th. How are you? Hope you've had a good day. Do you like this little summer throwback we're having? I'm not a huge fan of it, but at least we've got sunshine to talk about. And we'll have a lot of sunshine to talk about this week. But the big weather story here at home, at least, is indeed going to be these way above average temperatures for the next few days. And quite honestly, the fact that October looks as if it is going to stay or start off above normal as well. So we're going to talk about the temperature trend here at home, and we'll give you an update on Humberto and Imelda. Imelda is now officially a tropical storm, finally. It took a little bit, but it happened earlier this afternoon. We'll have an update on those systems and what is next with them as they continue to make their way through the Atlantic. But let me get you outside tonight. What a view. What a view from our Jeffersonville SkyTrack camera. The sun's going down. This is truly a classic carbon copy forecast this evening compared to what we had yesterday. We had a few cumulus clouds bubble up during the afternoon, during the warmest part of the day. Temperatures start to drop, sun starts to go down, those clouds fade away. That's going to be the case this evening, as you see outside right now. And we'll keep things quiet and clear overnight tonight as well. It's still warm, though. Our current temperature in Louisville still at 84. But again, it's not all that humid. Dew points in the low 50s. It's very comfortable. Got a light breeze out of the north and east. So it doesn't feel like fall, right? But it doesn't feel miserable. So we'll take it. Radar, obviously, there's not much to show you there. Big Blue H is in control. What is that, 6 Big Blue H's? This surface map with all the fronts and high pressures and low pressures is obviously computer generated, as you might expect. So this is really just one gigantic high pressure that is in control over the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. tonight. And it's going to be large and in charge for the next 7 days here at home. That's why our next 7 days is completely dry now. Further to the south, of course, you still see you see a couple of things happening here. You got the stalled front right off the coast. So you got widespread rain and some thunderstorms right offshore out over the water. Here's Humberto. That thing is still a buzzsaw. Major hurricane, category 4, last check. And right here is Imelda. There she is, right off the coast of Florida, and they are on their way out into the Atlantic. Eventually, we can now say with a pretty high level of confidence that Imelda is not going to make landfall in the U.S. There was still a little wiggle room when we were talking last night. That wiggle room is pretty much gone. So Imelda is going to go way out to sea, and crisis averted, I guess, because it looked like it was a very concerning setup for the Carolinas had Imelda moved inland, but that no longer appears to be the case, and we can be thankful for that. More on the tropics in a moment. Tonight's fine. Clear skies, comfortable. Yes, comfortable. A few degrees warmer tonight. We got down to 60 in Louisville this morning. A lot of you are probably in the 50s if you don't live in the city. It'll probably be the same story tonight, maybe a couple degrees warmer. I've got 62 for our forecast low. 87 our high temperature again on Monday. We got up to 87, or at least last time I checked, the high temperature today was 87 here in Louisville. And we'll do it all over again tomorrow. This is about 9 degrees above average. You're usually around 78 this time of year. And we are +9, it appears, for tomorrow. And we kind of showed you what's going on. The reason why it's going to be so quiet and warm this week is this big dome of high pressure. It's keeping the jet way to the north. It's keeping all the rain from Imelda compressed south, right along Interstate 95 in the southeast. And it's also at least one player as to why Imelda is getting a kick out to sea. It's not the main player, though. The main player is Humberto. We can be thankful for Humberto. Somebody said on Twitter earlier this evening, I never thought I'd be thankful for a Category 5 hurricane. And that's exactly right, because Humberto is so intense that as he curves back out over the open water, he's going to take Imelda with him, like so. So if it wasn't a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, Humberto, if it was a weaker hurricane, I don't know if we'd be breathing a sigh of relief right now when it comes to Imelda. But nonetheless, this complex weather setup is starting to clear itself up. High pressure is going to dominate our weather pattern for much of the week ahead. It's going to suppress, I guess, the rain chances with Imelda down into the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida, basically along Interstate 95. And once Imelda gets a kick out to sea, the coastline will dry out and we'll stay warm as we head into the first few days of October. Who's here tonight? Shonda's here. Kelly's here. Ann says hello. Gary's loving the summery weather in Pewee Valley. I'm not surprised by that at all, Gary. I hope you're doing well. Scott saw Don G at Robertson Park in Linden. Well, that's good. Yeah, we love Dawn. Dawn's a gem. She's a wonderful human. Anita says hello. Where did fall go? That's what I'm asking. Where did it go? I don't know. It'll come back eventually. ZK's here. He always comes back. Cody's here. Jacob's here. Give us the good weather news. Well, the weather news this week is all relative. If you like warmer weather, you're going to love it. If you're ready for fall, like me, you'll kind of shrug your shoulders. That's kind of what I'm doing. Rose is here. Let's see. Tracy's here. All right, so we got the usual crowd here tonight, and that's always a good thing. Here's a closer look at Humberto and Imelda. I kind of gave you the general idea. Here's the specific tracks from the National Hurricane Center. It's also a very good thing that Humberto is staying way out over the Atlantic, because that thing is mean, and if it was moving inland, we'd have a major problem on our hands. But we don't have to worry about that, so that's good. Let's see, zooming in, it's a Category 4, Humberto is. It has not lost its structure at all. I mean, look at that eye. Whew. Man, oh man. 145 mile per hour winds. It's going to maintain that major hurricane strength into tomorrow and early Tuesday. Notice how it's going to miss Bermuda. There's Bermuda. So Humberto is going to go way northwest of it. And it should lose its major hurricane status by midweek as it moves way back out into the Atlantic with all the other fish. Here's Imelda. It doesn't look too terribly organized, but it is getting its act together. It's the weaker of the two storms, as expected. 40 mile per hour winds at the moment. It's right over the Bahamas, and that's part of the reason why it can't really organize itself as quickly as it would like to, because it's interacting with land. You see the tropical storm warnings in place, those blue highlights you see across some of the islands in the Bahamas. It will become a hurricane briefly, or not briefly, but it'll become a hurricane Monday night or early Tuesday, it appears, right as it's making its sharp right-hand turn. So Humberto is going to zip on by, and it's going to look back and say, hey, Imelda, come on, let's go. And they're going to both run off into the sea. Sounds like the end of a terrible rom-com. But anyway, Imelda is going to become a Cat 1 on Tuesday, it appears. And once it goes back out over the sea, it's going to leave us alone. It will make a close call for Bermuda, though, will Imelda, as we get towards Friday. So we'll watch that. But for the U.S., there's no major problems with Imelda at this point. The main issues with Imelda really, as you see the bigger picture, the big issue is just going to be some heavy rain and potential for some coastal flooding for the Carolinas and Georgia and perhaps the Atlantic coast of Florida, especially when it coincides potentially with high tide. So the big picture view, Futurecast, here's Humberto leading the charge, jetting out to sea first. And once it gets ahead of Imelda, that's when Imelda can escape out to sea as well. So Humberto goes out to sea first, and then Imelda fall behind be about a day behind, okay? So that's the story there. Now, you also notice with the track from the Hurricane Center that Imelda's right-hand turn is going to be further south now. Last night when we talked, it looked like that right-hand turn back out to sea was going to happen near Charleston, South Carolina. Now it looks like it's going to be way down closer to Daytona or north of the Bahamas before it makes that right-hand turn. So the further southerly track, or the further south that right turn is, the less amount of moisture that's going to move into the Carolinas. What does that mean for us? Well, that means we don't have to worry about any kind of moisture, really, with Imelda. Rainfall amounts for the Carolinas have dropped quite a bit. Could still see around 2 to 4 inches of rain along the coast down there, maybe some isolated amounts closer to 6 inches directly on the beaches. But further inland, there's just not going to be enough moisture for widespread, heavy, concerning rain. And for us in particular, that means that tiny 10% shower chance we had is off the board. So we are in good shape. We don't have to worry about anything with Imelda at all. The only thing we may see is a few more clouds by midweek. But it'll still be nice. Still have that mix of sun and clouds by midweek. Not bad at all. So we get out towards Wednesday, and there they go. Wednesday into Thursday, Humberto's way out here. Imelda's way out here. They're gone. High pressure and full control once again over the eastern U.S. And we'll start to see those temperatures drop a couple of degrees as that high pressure kind of takes control again. You know, it's in a battle with these tropical systems. They're close to the U.S., but once they move way out to sea, that ridge can really anchor down even more than it already is. So that's the big story, guys. We head towards this week. All in all, pretty quiet. And while we will see those temperatures drop a few degrees by the end of the week, the trend is still above average. You know, we're usually in the upper 70s this time of year. You're going to see on the 10-day here in a second that we've got 80s across the board, be it low to mid 80s, depending on the day. And as we go through the first week or two of October, that trend is not letting up. It's not just for us. I mean, I'd say 85% of the country on this map has a better chance to see above average temperatures than below average temperatures. So we're going to start off October on a warm note, no doubt. Not necessarily talking about mid 80s every single day like we have today and like we'll have tomorrow. But low 80s, yeah, that's certainly possible, if not likely, at least to kick off this new month. Here comes the 10-day in full. And I don't want to keep you guys here too long tonight because, again, things are quieting down and the tropics are going to, by and large, behave for us. 87 on Monday, 86 on Tuesday. And then you start to see, as we get a little bit of an increase in cloud cover, it's more of a mix of sun and clouds instead of more sun than clouds. We see those temperatures level off into that low 80s range heading into Thursday, Friday, next weekend, and then the following week. Now, speaking of the following week, there are still some hints. Well, there's a couple of hints as far as how that portion of the forecast could play out. One, the way that high pressure might be sitting over the U.S., it could open the door for southerly flow by early next week and perhaps bring back some rain chances. Models aren't totally sold on that idea just yet, but that's why you see those 20% rain chances heading into next Monday, next Tuesday, and next Wednesday. There is also still out there the chance of a cold front moving through around October 7th or 8th, so right at the tail end of the 10-day. But I will say that has been very touch and go. Looking over the models this weekend. You look at the European model, one run, it has that cold front moving through around the 7th or 8th. The latest run, not so much. You look at the GFS, same thing. It shows the front on the 7th and 8th. Next time, it doesn't. So we still have to work out some complexities with that portion of the forecast, but there are still some indications that we will get a cold front through here sometime during that 7th, 8th, 9th window. And we'll just have to wait and see exactly when and if it does move through. Maybe then we can start to see more 70s as opposed to 80s. But again, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Let's go through the comments. And again, I don't want to keep y'all here too long since everything's pretty quiet. So let's see what we got here. ZK loved today. It was perfect. There you go. Weather Geeks here. Peter, hello on YouTube. I'm doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Appreciate you being here. Jacob, poor Bermuda. Yeah, they're really having to dodge, right? They're going to dodge Humberto, and then Imelda's going to make a close call with the 2 later this week. Wild. Let's see. Sounds like the ending of a cowboy western. Yeah. They just ride off out to sea. Humberto and Imelda. And they'll live happily ever after because they won't bother us, right? Severe weather with Jackson on YouTube is here. Hello, hello. And will rip currents be an issue? Yes, they will. They will be. That's something I didn't even think about. Thank you. So if you are, I know it's fall break for a lot of school districts this week. If you're heading down to the beaches, be very, 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 very careful from, I'd say the Outer Banks down to Wilmington, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, Charleston, Savannah, Tybee Island, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Daytona. If you're going to be near any of those towns or beaches, you definitely want to be very careful with those rip currents this week. The rain chances are dropping, the rainfall amounts are dropping, the flooding risk is dropping, but there's still going to be rough surf, and there could still be some gusty winds as well. So do keep that in mind. All right. Looks like everybody's good. Weather Geek said everything makes sense. Thanks for the update. Thankful the hurricanes are turning away. I agree. Yep. No doubt about it. So yeah, guys, that's all I got. Appreciate you stopping by as always, even on a quiet night like this and a quiet week like we have ahead. It's Sunday night. Y'all know that means it's Sunday Night Football on Wave. Interesting game tonight, Packers-Cowboys. We'll see how it plays out. And you also know the drill when it comes to our newscast. We should be on hopefully around 11:30, 11:45. So if you're still awake, we invite you to join us for a little bit. Get your headlines, get your forecast. If not, if you're going to go to sleep once that game ends, we don't blame you. We get it. Get some good rest. Have a great Monday. Have a great week. We'll cool down soon enough. If you're waiting on that cooler air, it's coming eventually, later into October. But until then, we've got some warm days ahead. Shonda, good note to close us out on. Warm days and cool nights, my kind of weather. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. And Cameron shouts out the Cincinnati Reds making the playoffs in baseball. First time in a while. So for all you baseball fans, for your Reds fans, congratulations. All right, gang, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate you watching as always. Brian will be here with the Good Morning blog tomorrow. At least I guess it'll be in the morning. And then the rest of the crew will be here to walk you through a pretty quiet week ahead. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I will see you again next weekend. Take care.